I don't remember ever learning to pray. As a child, religion and spirituality were foundational to how I understood the world. Growing up in the South and being raised in the Black church created the framework for my relationship with the divine. Western culture and American Christianity were soil that my roots grew in. We all have implicit and explicit value systems that often are translated to us through religion and create the basis for how we see the whole world. As we grow up, many small things or a few big things can light a match within us that makes us rethink the things we've never questioned about God, religion, politics, and our purpose. A couple of years ago, I found myself in what I like to call the wilderness of deconstruction, grappling with these questions and doubts about what I believed and my values. Having the courage to listen to those internal sparks truly necessitates bravery. I found myself wandering through what felt like an endless desert of unknowns, but that turned out to be the place where I've had and met some of the greatest opportunities and questions for change. So as we start the journey of deconstruction, our feelings are our greatest source of wisdom and should be met without judgment. As Mary Oliver says, you do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. I felt liberation in this time, right? Meeting people and having experiences that felt out of my previous comfort range, consuming art and asking questions that were prohibited because of my own internal and external judgments that came from religion. At the same time, that liberation caused a lot of disconnection from more religious friends and family who felt worried, threatened, or concerned by my spiritual exploration. The commonalities we no longer shared, they felt like this delicate distance. And resentment also came up for me because of the opportunities and the experiences that I had missed out on in my youth. And equally, I felt a lot of deep regret for the dogmatic ways I may have acted in the past that shamed or harmed others. And all of that, of course, culminated in feelings of rage and nihilism that rushed in when I just felt overwhelmed by the fear that I would never get out of this lost place, that I would be destined to remain forever in this metaphorical desert, in the wilderness. What kept me, and what I think keeps many of us on this journey, is the hope we feel for human connection and meaning. That small glowing light we encounter in the world and in other people that just keeps guiding us forward on this strange and often dark journey. I soon found that just like a tree transformed by autumn, my radical changes didn't mean I'd become uprooted. I'd simply entered into a new season of my evolution. I found in this journey there are a couple of important things to keep in mind. One is to preserve what's good. For me, that's returning to the gospel music that healed my ancestors and still heals me, and making meditation on parables and stories from scripture a part of how I connect with those traditions. The key to preserving is really identifying the traditions, the rituals, practices, and histories that still have meaning for you and can serve as a touchstone that keep you grounded and offer new wisdoms. Similarly, number two is reimagining these newly uncertain parts of our life, which there are many. And so many of those old practices don't serve us in this new chapter, and we have to start discovering and rerouting ourselves. For me, that's happened through mystic poetry, social justice communities, and being more in touch with nature. So the experiences that we have in this time, they help create new traditions, rituals, practices, and histories, or narratives that we can keep and build with people who are new to this community and these friendships that we're making. And finally, the most important is number three, to integrate the old and the new. Instead of seeing a divide between who you were and who you are, it's about remembering that it's all the same tree, just in a different season of life. For me, that's been telling my story, sharing this deconstruction and reconstruction journey in my writing and in moments like these with Ignite, where I get to process and create these new traditions, rituals, and practices that are uniquely mine. So perhaps that lit match, which started the journey into the wilderness of deconstruction, was actually a firecracker, that spirit in us that survives regardless of how many changes we may go through in this life and in all areas of our lives. So when people ask me what I believe or question how I've changed, I always come back to the truth. That little girl is still me. I never, not for one single second, ever stop praying.